And when he said that it was almost like he said he felt like a lighter up against his back.
Interesting.
And so I went around and I checked and I lifted up his shirt, and sure enough, he had 4 scratch marks that were going from like the top of his shoulder blades right down his spine.
Oh my
We
gosh.
looked around. The chair he was sitting in only went up to the small of his back. So there was nothing there that could have possibly scratched him, and there was only us 4 there.
How
So
did
that
that
was
make him
really,
feel? Was that his first experience, like where it was something physical?
I know that that was not his first experience. I know that he has had, previous ones, but that was most certainly that was pretty much one of the first 2 times that I had ever seen somebody get marks on them from
Yeah.
something not being there.
That's true. So when there's something that's doing that, like marking somebody or physically hurting them, do you usually fear for like the people living there, or were the people who were living there getting attacked at all like that physically?
No, the interesting thing is that nobody was being attacked or really in any malicious way. They were just noticing doors that were opening and closing. They were seeing passed away, siblings, brothers, that kind of thing. There was at one point where the client was laying in her bed, and she did get almost like a push on her thumb, and she did experience a little bit of pain when that happened, but other than that, there was nothing major, malicious about the case.
So
And it was just really interesting.
yeah, so probably maybe the entity knew that you guys were going to try to pull a trick, and he was like, or he or she was just like, whatever, I know what you're doing,
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were trying, to not provoke. We normally don't do that, because we feel that if the entity wants to show itself, it's going to do it, and if it doesn't, it's not going to. But this time, it definitely showed itself. It was amazing. We have photos and pictures of it. We documented it. It was unreal.
Wow. So now those people, like, as far as when you left and everything, did they want their house blessed after that? Did they have any fear for what happened, or were they just like, wow, cool, now we know it's real, or what happened?
Well, pretty much what I had decided at that point is I did call the client and ask her, if it would be okay if we did use a rosary. We normally do bring them, especially to this case here, because we had kind of an inkling that there was going to be something there. For sure, we had seen evidence from the client that just pretty much we knew we were walking into something that was in the home. And we did ask the client, if we could go around and bless the house and everything. We did tell her we're not professionals to do that, but we do know the basics. So we went ahead, we did that. She did say it died down quite a bit, but till this day, she says that she still experiences, paranormal activity. It's just not as bad as it was.
Wow. Well, when we come back, we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, I'd like to hear a couple more of your investigations. So if you guys want to take a few minutes and decide which ones you think would be cool to share or anything else you'd like to share with the dirt, I'd love to hear it. So stay tuned, everybody, and we'll be right back with the dirt.
You're tuned to The Dirt.
$5 subs are back at Quiznos. Any sub, any size, for just $5. Every Monday after 2 p.m. through closing. More meat, more flavor, more Quiznos. Toasty.
Come check out these deals exclusively at the Lincoln, Roseville, and Folsom locations. And don't forget to mention KMYC 1410 AM.
Quiznos, the official sponsor of The Dirt. Are you ready to buy or sell your home, lands, or investment property? Call Lori Schultz with American Home Realty at 916-960-9600. Short sales, investments, first-time home buyers, please give me a call. Lori Schultz, 916-960-9600.
Are you looking for a place with a friendly atmosphere where you can relax, enjoy a great pub-style meal, a delicious handmade burger, or perhaps authentic Mexican street tacos or delicious fish tacos, all at an affordable price? A place where you can go sing karaoke or listen to a great live band or perhaps dance to top DJ music? Look no further. Jillian's Bar and Grill, located in the heart of historic downtown Lincoln, holds the key to all your food and entertainment desires. Jillian's Bar and Grill is proud to offer a full menu of great pub-style food and a full bar. They have entertainment 5 nights per week, Wednesday through Sunday. Come visit Jillian's today at 605 G Street on the corner of 6th and G Street in Lincoln, or find us on Facebook by searching Jillian's Bar and Grill. That's Dillians, Jillian's Bar and Grill. Call 916-434-8171 for the entertainment calendar. That's Jillian's Bar and Grill.
Hey, are you looking for a place to hang out or watch a big game? Come on down to Bar 101 in Old Town Roseville on the corner of Main and Lincoln Street. We have 21 beers and a full bar serving great specialty cocktails. Try our wide selection of American fusion cuisine, served every day for lunch and dinner. With 7 HD TVs, fresh food, and a friendly atmosphere, Bar 101 is the place to be. Visit our website at Bar 101 Roseville or like us on Facebook by searching Bar 101 Roseville.
You're tuned to the dirt.
Get interactive with Lori by contacting her blog at lorischultz.blogspot.com. Here comes your diva of the dark, Lori Schultz.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to The Dirt, and I'm really excited because we have the Seekers Paranormal Society on the air with us, and they're out of Florida. They're going to be going to an investigation tonight, so we've got some busy people over on the other end here, and we were just interested in hearing some more of your investigations that you found a lot of evidence at.
Sure. If you don't mind, Lori, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about one investigation, and then I am going to hand the phone over to my lead tech, Ramon, and let him talk a little bit, as long as that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
Great. I do remember one particular investigation where we did do the Brooksville Train Depot. Anybody who is listening to your show, if they are here in Florida, I do highly recommend going to the Brooksville Train Depot. It is seriously haunted.
Oh, wow.
It's really, really interesting. It has thousands and thousands of artifacts and records that date back 1900s and even pre that. And we did find some rather interesting evidence there where my lead tech, Ramon Vivas, was standing in the caboose. They actually have a refurbished caboose on train tracks behind this building. And he was actually standing in the doorway. And we had Lori and Sherry, the two investigators. They were on the other side of the caboose, and Ramon was actually filming them. And he was in a doorway. Well, I'm sitting at Central Command watching the DVR system. And all of a sudden, the door starts to actually move and shut itself.
That's
and
scary.
Ramon never noticed it. I had to radio him on the radio and say, hey, did you bounce off of the door? Did you move? Whatever. He actually was so involved with what he was doing, videotaping the investigators at the other side of the car. He didn't realize that the door had actually closed almost a foot to a foot and a half on him. And when we went and took a look at it again, there's no natural swing to the door. There's no nothing. That door was not going to move, and it really put chill up and down your spine when you saw that, because as it was happening, I'm watching the door shut, and he had absolutely no clue until I showed him.
That is scary. And you're sitting there watching it, and he's just like, da-da-da, doesn't know anything's going on. I mean, it's weird when you're in a situation like that. It's kind of freaky, huh?
It was definitely a little bit unnerving for Ramon. He was... he not only has he been scratched and, different things, because he's, the bigger guy of the group, he's a very, very big person. He seems to get a lot more of the action, I guess you could say. It's almost like the spirits and the entities kind of see that maybe they see him as a threat or what, or, maybe that's why he gets a lot of paranormal activity done to him.
That's
But,
interesting. I never really thought about that. Like, if it has to do with like how they view the person, or I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting concept, just knowing that one person usually gets more of the activity than the others, and why the entities would kind of target him a little more. Is it his size? You just wonder if it's that or something else.
Absolutely. I mean, Ramon has a great demeanor about him. He's always positive, and so I always laugh when he has some kind of paranormal activity happen to him, because he pretty much just turns around and he's always like, "It's me. It's always me that that they come after." And he doesn't exactly understand that, but I absolutely love documenting it. So as long as nothing is too crazy.
No, you're like, I absolutely love that it's not me they're targeting, right?
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. All
But
right.
it was an amazing place, and like I said, I highly recommend anybody who can get there. At the Brooksville Train Depot, it's absolutely amazing. And I'm going to turn it over to Ramon here, and he's going to tell you about another investigation that we had where some interesting things happened, and actually happened to him. What a surprise.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you very much, Lori.
Okay. Ramon, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you, and welcome to the Dirt.
Thank you very much.
All right, so what do you have to share with us tonight?
We had an investigation that is actually a part of where I live. Part of the complex where I live in has an ALF attached to the very beginning of it. That's an assisted living facility for the elderly.
Okay.
And they have a huge front office there. And I went in there one day to pay my rent, and the lady saw my shirt, and she's like, "Can I ask you a question?" And she brings me in the office, and she's telling me about how they found this little koala, and it ended up on one of their desks, and it's been moving throughout the main office.
Weird.
And I said, okay. And then I said, has anything else happened? And they've heard banging on some of the walls. They picked up footsteps in the main hallway, and the floor in there is wood. So if you're wearing heels or men's dress shoes, you hear that tapping as you're walking through.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a hold of Mike, and I let him know about the case, and we went ahead and we took it. And I told her I didn't want any kind of information. Obviously, I used to work for an ALF, so it's a death is something that happens, on a daily basis.
Right.
So I didn't want any names of anybody who passed or anything like that. And we set everything up in the building, and we started about 10:30. It's real dark over here about 10:30, and we set up a trigger item. And what I did was I have children, and one of my children is very, very small. She's only 9 months.
Aw.
And one of the toys that she has is it only turns on when there's movement. You have to physically touch it in order for anything to happen. So we set it up in the main dining hall, and there's a DVR camera facing it. The entire time we're there, it doesn't do absolutely anything. We're walking around the table. We even sat at the table, and it never went off.
Okay.
And as the night went by, Mike and I were in the main dining hall, and it was funny because we heard this loud knocking, and it scared me. When you look at the video, you can actually hear me basically right across the floor, because I thought it was behind me, and I wanted to catch it. What it was if you were to take a refrigerator and put locks on it and grab the handles and shake the fridge,
Yeah.
that's what we heard. So we're looking around. Mike goes over to the refrigerator, and he sees that there is a lock latch on it. At an ALF, they do that for people with Alzheimer's, so they can't get in and out of the refrigerator.
Okay.
Well, he shakes the fridge, and it's the same exact noise that we had heard just a few minutes prior. So we move the toy, we get over to that section, and we use what's called a ghost box. And we turn it on, and Mike's asking questions after questions. We caught 2 names that came up out of the ghost box. And then Mike said, if you're here, will you make this toy move? And then we showed on camera us jumping up and down next to the table, moving the table. We actually had to hit the table with our fists to make the toy go off.
Okay.
And we wait about 10, 15 minutes. The toy resets itself, and we're just sitting there, and we're talking, and it just starts playing music. It starts lighting up. It starts going off all on its own.
Oh, my goodness. That's scary.
So the next day, we went over the evidence, and I ended up hearing the names more than once. during the EVP sessions that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I called the owners, they came to my house and we set up everything and we had it on the TV and we let them watch the video what we caught. And come to find out, one of the names we caught was Jim. And there was a guy named Jim who died in the area where we were sitting. There's an organ there, and he used to play the organ every morning. He died playing the organ.
He did? And
And
how
that-
long before that did that happen?
He said it was at least a year.
Oh.
But what the thing was, we were standing at the organ when Mike was talking and asking, who was here and what is your name and what would you like to get across. And sure enough, we heard Jim twice, and that's what they called him. But we were standing right next to the organ.
Wow.
And then directly next to the organ is the refrigerator.
That is so weird.
It was very cool. Again, like Mike says, when things happen, if I get a touch or something like that, I'm not much of a jumper, and I'm just like, that was awesome. I get excited about it. I'm ready for the next thing to happen.
Well, that's really cool. So then, what about the koala? Did you guys ever find anything to do with that?
The koala, they don't even know where it came from. It just showed up one day. I've been in contact, obviously, because I live in the area, and I've been in contact with them, and it hasn't moved in the last 4 months. It moved 2 other times after we were there, but in the last 4 months, they've had no activity with the koala. They still hear the banging. They still hear the footsteps. And then I know that there was a part of the room where where the banging was. Mike and I went in there, and we used what's called a millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And a millimeter picks up electromagnetic fields. Well, when we went in there was this one corner on the other side of the room where there was another room. We were standing in there, and we were picking up this high wave of electricity. We didn't know where it was coming from. So we went to the other side of the wall, and there was a giant, a copier, like an industrial copier there.
Okay.
And we put the millimeter up to it, and nothing would happen. There was no spike or anything.
So it wasn't
Went
that.
outside, we couldn't figure it out. We didn't know where this electromagnetic field was coming from, because even outside on that wall, on the exterior wall, there wasn't even an air conditioning unit.
How strange.
So it was just that corner there was nothing there, no televisions, no nothing. So, and there was always a banging there. So, I mean, you just have to, you try to debunk it as best you can, and then if you can't, I mean, there's really no other explanation for it.
Wow. And the other name, did that ever transpire into anything that those people recognized or no?
Yes, there was a name. The woman's name was Bridget,
Okay.
and she died at the center table where Mike was sitting.
Oh, wow.
They said that she was eating, and she was done eating. She goes there every day. She would do the bingo thing and hang out. And that was like her table. And she was sitting there one day reading a book, and they thought like she was sitting there with her hands folded on her stomach, and she would like nap off sometimes. And they thought that she fell asleep. She actually passed away sitting in that same chair.
And how long before that was that?
It was 2 years prior.
Okay. It looks like Chris wants to ask you something.
This just seems like even more reason to not send your parents somewhere like that. Because, I mean, if after they go, that's where they're going to be, that's depressing.
Yeah, that's true.
It all depends. I mean, me personally, before I got into any kind of paranormal, that was my job. I worked at an ALF as a med tech and a CNA, and it just depends on how you treat them. They're regular people, you treat them like you would treat your grandparents.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's like a bad place to be, but I'm saying after I go, I'd want to be somewhere.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere else. I wouldn't want to be
like
stuck.
where you're observing your own family.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be stuck around an assisted care facility.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason they both stayed there, because when we looked up their records, they both had no family. They were the last of their family, and I think that's why.
They just had nowhere else to go.
That makes
exactly.
sense.
There was no grandkids, no regular kids. There was nothing. It was just that was where they ended up. Family had already perished, so that was their family, whoever was there with them on a daily basis.
Okay.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And besides, I really think that spirits can be wherever they choose to be. Don't you think? Unless they're like, I mean, there might be some cases where they're trapped and they may not realize that they've passed or things like that.
That's kind of, I've always seen it as you can just go wherever you want,
Me
see whatever
too.
you want to see. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
You know?
I mean, not in a bad way, but it's like something to look forward to.
Well, I think the Seekers Paranormal Society needs to understand that Chris back here is always talking about astral projection. Always.
Yes, it's
And
gonna.
that's all he wants to do.
If-
So
I
of course
feel like
he's.
everybody has their own opinion on certain things like that, and I agree with them. I mean, you could either just be doing your own thing, and I mean, me personally, if I was an ALF and I went, I'd be messing with the nurses after I was done. I mean, that's just me. That's the kind of person I am. I mean, I would be. I'm going to be the old man who's like, hey, come here and change my diaper or whatever the case is. And if I go, I'm going to be flirting with them after I'm done. I mean, that's just every person has their own way when they go. Is how I feel about it.
Yeah, you'll be the one setting the koala all over the place, right? So
oh, definitely.
Yeah. So do you have any other investigations that you'd like to share with us?
We also had a big one. It was the Santa Ella Cigar Factory. It was huge. It was 12 till 12. It was our first overnight. We did a full 24 hours in this place. It had to be, I would say, like 55,000 square feet. This place was huge. It was 4 stories, and I'm not gonna lie. When you take me and you stick me in a dark place by myself, and they had a basement there that had no power inside, and I'm trying to set up cameras, and I'm just looking around because you hear all kinds of stuff. Whether it's the place settling. And I remember calling Mike, and I said, Mike, are you on the first floor? And he said, no, he was on the 4th floor making sure the DVR was showing up on our screen.
Oh,
and I said, well, if nobody else is in the building, we already have activity starting. We weren't even recording yet, and there was footsteps above my head across the ceiling. And I'm not going to lie, when you're down there in a place like that by yourself, I wanted out. Like, I was like, I need to get upstairs where I can see what's going on around me. It was very cool, and I pulled up so much research on the place, and the thing is, it could have been anybody. One of the biggest things about that place was Babe Ruth used to go there to that facility and help hand roll his personal cigar.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, see, I'm not like you guys or like Chris. Like everybody knows that I'm a really big chicken. This is where I do my investigating. I have you guys call in and tell us what's going on.
From the ghosts. Yes.
Exactly. So putting me in some basement somewhere and turn off the lights would cause like a nervous breakdown. I would not be cool with that. And if I heard footsteps above me, you'd hear mine too, running down the hallway, getting out.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I may be 6'1", 250 pounds, but if I'm uncomfortable, I let somebody know. I mean, we've had a case where you feel like there's something behind you the whole time.
Oh, that would be
and I'm
creepy.
just like waiting for something to grab you. And I remember, for me, it bothered me because I was trying to record Mike, and I kept turning around because I felt like there was something there. I was just waiting. I think it's only because of my very first experience personally. I think that's why. Whenever
you need to share it.
Definitely.
We don't know your first experience.
I used to be a very big skeptic. I never really believed in any of this stuff. And Mike came to me one day and he said, "Hey, there's this cool place in Clearwater, Florida. I think it's called the Bellevue Biltmore." And he was like, "You want to go check it out?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I can waste $50 and just do it, and who cares, I didn't expect anything to happen, and we walked into this room, and the gentleman was telling us about the old man who used to live there. And I can't remember the guy's name, but they had me standing in a corner, and we were talking, and it is really embarrassing. I don't share very often, so please feel lucky, because this is not something I ever put out there.
Oh, we're really lucky. The Dirt's good at this, so bring it.
Yeah. I was standing there. Mind you, like I said, I'm 6'1". Nobody really ever bothers me, and I'm standing there, and I kind of jumped. And Mike looked at me and goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I want to leave now. I don't want to be here. I want to go home. Get me out of here." I got so scared that I wet myself.
Oh.
It was horrible. I mean, at the time, my girlfriend was with me. Mike was with me. When we left the room, I had a handprint on the back of my neck, like somebody slapped me.
Okay, well, I would probably do the same, if not worse. If there's a big handprint on the back of my neck, I'd be scared too. No, I don't judge you for that. That's minimum. If I was there, it'd be worse.
After that, I was like, I really didn't think anything was possible. After that, I'm totally into it now, and I'm happy. I mean, like Mike said, one of the biggest things that Secrets Paranormal Society of Florida does is we want to help people. And if I can help people that don't have to go through what I went through, then I'm there 100%.
Okay, so how has, getting into, paranormal investigating and everything changed your faith or your outlook on spirituality?
Well, my outlook, my faith and my outlook are definitely two different things. I'm not much of a God person per se.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do the church thing or anything like that. But I do believe that there's something does happen to you once you pass. You do end up somewhere. Obviously, we'll never know where until we get to that point in time. But when it comes to spirits and stuff, I definitely believe that there are some here that are good. I think that there's some here that are bad. I've even had where at one point Mike and I thought that my mom came through to talk to us during an EVP. It was the coolest thing, and I'm not gonna lie. If you go onto the YouTube page and look for it, I didn't say a word the whole time. I was in awe. I didn't even know how to react. So I mean, I do feel that there are people that pass that are spirits that come back to protect you, watch over you and your children and your families. And then there are ones out there that just like to do things like breaking stuff, moving things. It just depends on. I think it depends on the attitude and the aura you have about yourself to see what you bring. What you're gonna attract.
And for you, like when you go into a place now, do you feel after doing this like you have a higher sensitivity to recognizing if a place is haunted, or is it just you need your equipment? Well, not you get scratched and stuff, but I mean, can you pick up on it more than you did before? Or do you think you were just ignoring it before?
They like to abuse me, so I don't know what the deal is with that. I think that I would say I'm more sensitive to when I walk into a room. You can tell if I'm uncomfortable. I get very jittery. I'll get nauseous, and it just in the last 2 years, I would say, it hits me hard. Sometimes it hits you like a ton of bricks, and sometimes I don't feel anything.
Wow, and you're not afraid of it at all, huh?
Not really. When I got scratched, and he asked Mike when I got scratched, I was ready to keep going. I was like, let's do it. It kind of excited me, there's something here that's cool. Minus, I don't want to get, I don't want broken bones or anything, but, little scratches over that, it doesn't really bother me that much.
Okay. And what's your feeling about, entities following you home? Did you ever have that happen, or anybody in your group, or do you guys do some sort of cleansing when you leave, or how do you handle that?
I don't think that I've ever had anything follow me home. I know my fiance always tells me, keep whatever you find there.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had anything follow me home, and at the end of every investigation, Mike has us stand in a circle and say the Archangel. Again, I'm not much of a God person, but I do it just to do it, But I'm not ever worried about something coming home with me. I've never felt like something's followed me here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just with the other guys, I don't believe anything has ever followed any of us home at this point in time. Lori and Sherry are very big into prayer. Mike is also. I mean, he's blessed in himself. So
Okay.
I mean, I think we're all pretty safe with that. We haven't ran into anything really big, demonic, like, oh my God, we're being lifted off the floor type stuff. So I'm not really all that concerned about it. If it happens, it happens. If it's meant to be, then it's there.
Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour, and if anybody wants to get a hold of you, can you tell everybody how to get a hold of you guys? And again, The Dirt thanks you so much for being on the show tonight, everybody, your whole group, and good luck tonight. But how can they look you up?
They got a few different ways. We have our Seekers Paranormal Facebook. We have our Seekers Paranormal Society on YouTube. You also have, you just type it in the internet and bam, it shows up. It's there.
All right.
You really want to go on YouTube, look at the videos. That is something that you'll see. We're not one of those groups that go, ooh, what was that? And then there's nothing there. Whatever we see in here, you will see in here.
Awesome. Okay, and if you guys want to post anything on The Dirt, feel free. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight, and we'll be following you on Facebook. You guys can look them up on The Dirt page, too, if you guys are interested in Seekers.
You are tuned to The Dirt.
The jury in the Florida murder trial of George Zimmerman seriously considering the charge of manslaughter from last year's killing of Trayvon Martin.
May we please have clarification on the instructions regarding manslaughter?
That's the question the jury relayed through the judge 3 hours ago.
In the jury instructions, this is exactly how Judge Deborah Nelson clarified manslaughter. Number one, Trayvon Martin is dead. Number two, George Zimmerman intentionally committed an act or acts that caused the death of Trayvon Martin. That could be the perplexing line in this. But the judge and the attorneys, after their input, just wrote down a note that essentially said the court cannot engage in the general discussions, but may be able to instruct. If you have a specific question, please submit.
Fox's Phil Keating in Sanford, Florida, where the jury did not offer a follow-up question. It did order in dinner and got back to work deliberating in the past hour. No one was reportedly hurt when a military charter flight operated by Delta ran off the runway after landing at Jacksonville Naval Air Station. Fox 30 in Jacksonville reports the plane had come in from Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, with 167 passengers on board. The third passenger to die since last Saturday's plane crash in San Francisco has been identified by the Chinese government as a classmate of the two others.
She received outstanding treatment from every single person that touched her, and we're all very sad.
Dr. Margaret Knudsen at San Francisco General Hospital, where Liu Yipeng spent 6 days in intensive care. Republican Governor Rick Perry says he's confident the abortion restrictions that he plans to sign into law in Texas are constitutionally legal. Democrats say they'll take the matter to court after Republicans won passage of the bill early this morning in the state Senate. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
There's more to Fox News Radio than meets the ear. Go behind the headlines and join the conversation on the hottest stories of the day on the Fox News Radio Facebook page. Be a part of the Fox News Radio Facebook fan community. Post comments and tell us your opinions. See behind-the-scenes photos and videos and post your reactions to the stories that matter to you. Click the like button on Facebook and connect with breaking news and features like Fox in the Fast Lane, House Call for Help, and more. Go to Facebook.com/Fox News Radio.
Weeknights, we're busting out a brand new lineup. First, market fraud, government abuse, corruption. At 5, nothing's off limits on money with Melissa Francis. Then, from bloated bank fees to consumer scams. At 6, Jerry's exposing the issues impacting your wallet. Plus, get smart market insight and trusted analysis you won't find anywhere else. At 7, Lou Dobbs is all business. And the first and last name in business, Cavuto, shedding light on the biggest stories making headlines at 8. Only on the Fox Business Network, giving you the power to prosper.
National security leaker Edward Snowden is still at a Moscow airport and says he's willing to stay there as long as necessary.
Perhaps stay in Russia while this situation involving the breach of my rights is resolved.
Authorities in Russia, though, say they haven't received a written application for asylum from Snowden, who's accused of stealing U.S. government documents to reveal secret surveillance of private phone and email activity. If Snowden wants temporary asylum in Russia, President Vladimir Putin says he has to agree not to reveal any more American secrets. It looks like a mechanical problem caused the commuter train crash yesterday that left 6 people dead in France.
While the inquiry has just begun, a broken piece of track appears to be the most likely cause. An inspection has been ordered on all similar switching mechanisms throughout the French rail network.
Sky's Ian Woods in Bretigny-sur-Orge, France. In eastern Canada, a church bell was rung 50 times, once for each of the victims either confirmed or feared dead from last Saturday's railroad explosion. 33 bodies have been found since the out-of-control train full of shale oil blew up in Lac-Mégantic, Quebec. A former governor says thanks but no thanks to a run for the U.S. Senate seat coming open after next year.
Democrat Brian Schweitzer says he does not want to leave Montana and does not want to re-enter politics. Schweitzer saying that he wants to live with his family in Montana and continue working as chairman of Stillwater Mining Company. The seat is being vacated by retiring Democratic Senator Max Baucus, and it has been targeted by Republicans in their bid to gain control of the Senate. The GOP needs to pick up 6 seats to hold the majority, while Democrats need to defend many more seats for them to maintain control. Don Matheson, Fox News Radio.
A little sticker shock at the pump. AAA says the price of gas was up another 3 cents a gallon in the past day. That means it has risen 11 cents in the past week. I'm Ron Flatter, Fox News Radio.
This is Life Issues with Brad Mattis, Executive Director of Life Issues Institute.
Shayla Taylor and her husband Jerome were on the 2nd floor of the Moore Medical Center in Oklahoma having their 2nd baby. She wasn't worried about the storm outside until the nurses rushed into her room. Shayla pulled out her phone and the weather app said the tornado was headed right for them. Jerome and son headed for cover while they moved Shayla into a surgical suite with no windows. The nurses crouched down by her bed and Shayla turned her head and closed her eyes. When she opened them, she saw Interstate 35 and the local theater because the wall was gone, but all were safe. An ambulance took them to an undamaged hospital where Braden Emmanuel was born. Emmanuel means God is with us. She picked the name months ago and now knows why.
For more information, visit our website at lifeissues.org and stay informed, more informed than you've ever been.
You're listening to the station that's been owned and operated by your friends and neighbors for over 72 years.
Big 14. 5 in a row. Come on, baby. Let's boogie.
Number one then, and number one in local talk now.
You're listening to The Good Life with me, Mike the Wine Guy.
This is Paul Preston, and you're listening to Inside Education.
Hey, this is Live with Lou, broadcasting high atop Mount Hood.
KMYC, 1410 AM, Marysville, Yuba City.
Leave the mainstream media on the shelf and pick up a free printed copy of the News Journal Aggregate to discover news the way it should be reported on the important topics facing our country. Go online to newsjournalaggregate.com and subscribe to our monthly e-journal for a wealth of information on a variety of topics. Stay informed and spread the news. Go to newsjournalaggregate.com. Read it today.
You're tuned to the dirt.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found.
You're about to explore another world, another universe with the likes of ghosts.
Can you talk to us, touch us?
Bigfoot.
That's affirmative. He has evidence proving Bigfoot.
And UFO.
The search for the flying saucer.
And now, here comes your diva of the dark, Lori Schultz.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to The Dirt, and that was a great first hour. What do you think, Chris?
I thought it was excellent. That guy had some pretty cool stories there.
I know,
thought.
Ramon, he's like all, getting attacked by entities and everything else. I mean,
yeah.
He's pretty brave. If the threat of that even happened to me, I wouldn't show up.
Yeah, for sure. That, the assisted care facility, the ALF. Was it the ALF, the ALF?
Yes.
That was pretty interesting stuff, I thought.
I know. I think so, too. And it sounds like they have a great group going on in Florida. And, again, that's Seekers Paranormal Society. And I actually got the hookup from Sherry McCormick. And you can look them up on the Dirt page if anybody's from Florida and you want to look up some of those places like the railroad, I forget what the name of that place was.
I don't.
The railroad cars that were haunted and all that.
I'm from Florida. That state is so huge. They were over on the West Coast.
No, you're from New York. Remember?
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding. Okay, anybody who's listening, no, I was like, this is Chris Silverton, not Singleton, and he's from New York.
Yeah. News to me.
New name, new place. What's the difference, right?
I'll be whoever you want me to be, Lori.
All right. Sounds perfect. All right. So do we have Trey on the phone with us?
We do have Trey on the phone. She's nervous.
Oh, Trey Lindstrom, and she's actually a member of HPI. So Chris and Trey know each other. I got to talk to Trey yesterday, and, we've been messaging and stuff, and Trey is amazing. I just want to say, if you're there listening, Trey, how are you?
Hello, Lori. Oh, you're so precious. Thank you.
Welcome to The Dirt.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you. I can't believe that the articles and everything I read it's your house. You just sound so precious. It's like, why are there things bothering you over at your home? It's just not fair.
Well, actually, the very first time that the realtor opened the door to us, she gave us the key and allowed us to walk in and, just take a look around at things and make sure things were working and whatnot. And as soon as we opened the door, just right when you walked in, I looked at my husband and I said, this place is haunted.
And
he
it
was
didn't
like,
stop
yeah,
you,
whatever.
huh?
Okay.
Oh.
Day one, the activity started.
And when was that?
What's that? I'm sorry?
When was that you purchased your home?
It's been about 8 weeks ago now.
8 weeks? All this has happened in 8 weeks?
Oh, a lot has happened in 8 weeks.
I can't even believe that. That's like the Amityville Horror or whatever, that That's
it's starting to feel that way.
that is incredible. You know what? 8 weeks ago, if I had known you were looking for a house, I would have been the realtor to sell that to you. I'm a realtor. So
I know Paul told me, and I felt so bad because we were right in the middle of signing the papers, and I was like,
I'm not trying to press you. Don't feel bad, but I'm just saying that's, I've been kind of out of the circle a little bit when it comes to things like that just because of my own loss and everything. But no, I'm getting back into it, but I'm super happy. Congratulations on your new home, even though it's haunted. So tell us what's going
my realtor's
on.
so proud of herself. She's putting a big post up saying that she can even accommodate the supernatural.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
hilarious.
That is hilarious. Well, you know what? You're the one who has to live with it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe which town you're in? Obviously not an address. And your first paranormal experience, things like that. But I just want everybody to kind of get an idea of who you are and how you got into the paranormal, because you actually are a member of HPI and you happen to live in a haunted house. So I just want to know what came first, the chicken or the egg?
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you the other day, ever since I was really, really little, I've always had a fascination in it, because I'd had some things happen at my grandparents' house where I'd seen shadows walking around, and I'd look up and see something dark standing over me. And I was just 7 or 8 years old. And so when I went to the library, the very first time our school had taken a class trip to the library, I still remember this. I was 8 years old, and I checked out the book Curses, Hexes, and Spells. And I started learning from there. It just kind of took off from there. But nothing really into the ghost hunting part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That came about 7 or 8 years ago when I moved into yet, I know it's going to sound crazy, but another haunted home.
It doesn't sound crazy because I believe
really,
there's
really
spirits
haunted, but
everywhere.
there's some spirits,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I believe that there's spirits everywhere, so it doesn't sound crazy at all.
Thank you. From what I understand, Marysville is full of spirits.
Yeah.
Since it has such a humongous history, it's just unbelievable how many things have happened here in such a tiny town.
I know, and it's a very old town, so that has something to do with it too. So actually, the house you're living in now, is it Marysville?
We're just outside of Marysville, about 10 minutes or 10 miles, in a little town called Loma Rica.
Oh,
okay. But it's technically Marysville, but since we don't have a post office yet, it's Marysville. So.
Oh, that's cool. So you got your house eight weeks ago, and right when you walked through the door, you felt like it was haunted. And can you explain why you felt like it was?
Gosh, it's such a bizarre feeling. When you walk into a place, from what I've understood lately, I really didn't understand what's been going on with me, as a matter of fact. I'm kind of learning as I go along. But from a lot of things that have been happening lately, I guess I'm classified as an intuitive, and I didn't realize that. And when you walk into a place, all of the other homes that we'd walked into, they were open, or, people lived there and they still had their furnishings and things. And when I walked into this home, it has this big grand living room, and I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. And it was completely empty, but it felt like the house was full of people, like it was just packed full. Not to a claustrophobic extent, but almost.
Okay.
And your house is huge, Trey. I've been there.
Yeah, it's very, very open.
Yeah.
The floor plan is very spacious.
So if you're in there and you can feel like you're, crowded and closed in, it must have felt like there was a ton of people in there.
So, how big is the house? How many square foot?
3,000. Just a little bit over 3,000.
Yeah, no, that's very spacious.
Yeah, the living room there is as big as this, like the whole building here.
Wow. So you just had a
sense. The living room by itself is probably about 2,000 of it.
Oh my god.
Pretty big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Okay.
But it goes
like 20-foot vaulted
to an
ceilings.
overlooking loft, so it makes it seem even larger.
Did I meet you the one time when you were picking him up for a ride to go to investigate? Okay, so we did meet. Okay, so now all of a sudden I remember. For some reason, I didn't picture that you were living up here. And when he said she's my,
my carpool buddy.
Yeah, carpool buddy. I was okay. So we have met. So I apologize for not realizing that.
No problem. It's okay.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Well, that's great. Okay, so now your husband, is he in the group with you guys?
No, absolutely not.
That happens a lot, I noticed.
skeptic extraordinaire. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now, has his opinion changed at all?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. Has he had any experiences in the house?
He's just basically heard the EVPs. I try not to talk to him about it too much because I think there's a little part of him that's kind of afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
And so I try not to discuss, anything that we do or investigations. I'll give him tidbits, but about our home, no, I try not to.
You don't want to rock his sense of reality, right?
Yeah.
The security he has in denial. Okay. So, why don't you tell us what happened that triggered you to call HPI and have them come over and investigate? And at the time, were you already a member for HPI? You were, if it was 8 weeks ago. It was a while ago that I met you. So you had to have already been a member.
Yeah, it'll be 1 year in October that I've been with Pulse Group.
Okay, that's great. All right, in a minute I'll ask you how you got involved in that. But what was it that triggered you to make that phone call and just say, you know what, you guys need to come over here?
What had happened was in the very beginning, we were kind of going step by step on Facebook, and a lot of people were following along with, we tried to get this done today. Basically, it was kind of me venting along the way of trying to buy the house, and all these problems kept coming up, and they'd say, no, now you guys have to tear all the flooring out. And I'd say, okay, just one more step, we're so close. Now we have to tear the decks off. Now we have to hire a contractor to build stairs. Now we have to do this, and everybody was just like, oh my God, Trey, are you guys ever going to get this house?
Yeah.
And it was just looking so grim at the time. And then finally, the last photo I put up was a picture of the house keys. And then the following week, it was about 5 different things that had happened. And the first one was that we had gone out. We've got 4 acres of hay, just crazy tall hay. And so we couldn't even get off of the back deck without just, getting lost in hay. It was so tall. So we went out there with a mower, with the weed eaters, and we were just hacking the heck out of everything. And after we'd done that for 4, 5, 6 hours one day, I came into my bedroom, and I even covered in dirt. I laid down a blanket on top of my regular blanket, and I went face first in my pillow because I was just deep.
Yeah.
So I had my face down and my arms kind of, your face tucked into your arms like that. And my husband was laying next to me, and it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I was just laying there, and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. And all of a sudden, I felt one of my kids. I have 4 little boys. And I felt them pressing up against the bottoms of my tennis shoes, kind of like, Mom, I'm bored. What are we going to do? That kind of feeling.
Right.
And they were just leaning, almost not bouncing, but just kind of leaning in, leaning back, leaning in, leaning back. And I felt that pressure, and I was so tired, and I guess I was kind of snappy, and I said, which kid's doing that? And my husband said, what? And I'm like, which kid is leaning on my feet? And he goes, Trey, they're in bed. And I was like, what? And I thought for a second, it kind of clicked. They are in bed. I whipped around really fast, and I looked behind me, and there's nothing there. My door is shut, and I ran out in the hallway, and the kids are all in bed. And my husband's like, what is wrong with you? Like something was just leaning on my feet. And that night, I saw something standing up in the loft. And not long after that, my son Jeff saw a man standing in our mud room. And then about 3 weeks ago, Larry Beatty, another investigator, he's a tech and investigator, he came over with Sherry Aresta, and they were just kind of doing a preliminary for Paul to check out, what's really going on out there. Has Trey lost her damn mind, or, is something really going on? And we were sitting downstairs. There was no one upstairs in the loft, and Larry saw a man walking back and forth and back and forth. And he's like, Trey, is that your mom's husband? Because they're staying with us right now. And I looked up there and like, no, they're not up there. He goes, I just saw a man walking back and forth. I'm like, join the club. Everybody else does too.
Oh my gosh. So so they actually show themselves as pretty solid apparitions if he thought he was seeing a person.
To the point, I've got 2 things actually to tell you about that one.
Okay.
One time, my mom's husband was up in the loft, and he started walking down the stairs. Larry flips around. He goes, he's real, right? Out of the blue. I'm like, yes, this time he is real. He's like,
my
okay,
goodness.
I'm just
That's
checking.
hilarious.
Yeah, and then the other, I don't want to say the other night, maybe about not quite 2 weeks ago, Yeah, it was right before we had our investigation. I came to my bedroom, and I heard some noises going on outside, and so I shut the door, and I laid down, and I was just kind of sitting there. I dozed off. All of a sudden, something woke me up, and usually I'm a really hard sleeper, but something that night just, for some reason woke me up. And it was, I want to say, about midnight, 11:30, 12 o'clock, and I looked up, and I looked over to the right, and I looked over to the left, and I saw an elderly man and an elderly woman standing in my doorway. And I blinked my eyes, and I shot up to a sitting position, and I looked over there, and they were gone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the weird part about that, though, I've got to tell you, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go.
We have a psychic, a psychic named Donna Anderson that's part of HPI, and she came out to the investigation, and I hadn't talked to her about anything. I mean, I believe she knew that I had seen the two apparitions, but I did not describe them.
Yeah.
And she said she's wearing a very long dress with flowers all over it, which I told my husband, and I told Paul and Sherry about that. And when she's describing this, my mouth is just, dropped. Like, how in the hell? She's like, oh, yeah, she's got her hair pulled back into a bun, which she did. She's got gray hair, which she did, and the flowery dress, which she did. And then when she went to describe the apron, I just jumped up, and I'm like, you've got to tell me. And she points to her waist, and I said, stop. She had one from just the waist down, not the top tying one, just the waist down. Wow. And she said it's long and white, exactly what I had seen. I about fell over.
Yeah, that's really weird. And do you think all this stuff started kind of happening because you renovated the home?
That's what I'm hearing. It's a possibility. I know that it becomes really, really active when you do renovation, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. But it started literally from day one, just from the first time that we walked in. And some friends of ours, Kevin and Tammy, had come over to help us with things. And even the day that Kevin came over, he walked in, he goes, Trey, this house, it just feels really, really weird.
Right.
And that's not normal for Kevin to say that because he's, one of those, there's not a damn thing here kind of guys, But he's just like, Trey, there's just something just off. I can't explain it, but it just feels really weird in this house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would be a little bit afraid, but you did mention that you have kids. Now, I'm sure anybody listening is just wondering how the kids are handling, if they've had any experiences or if it's, not really bothering them too much.
Right. That was my first concern because we've had that type of situation in the past. And when I first got here and I realized that there was something for sure going on, I went up into the loft where we have probably 90% of our activity. And you know how when you have something going on, you have to set rules.
Right.
And you say, you're more than welcome to stay here because I honestly believe it's the original owners of the home that are still in the home. And I know that there are also other entities, but specifically I wanted to make sure that, let them know this was your home first. I respect that, and I promise to take very good care of your home. However, this is also my home.
Right.
And if you want to stay here, you are absolutely welcome to stay, but you also have to abide by my rules. You're not allowed to scare my children.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to show yourself in front of my children, and so on and so on, just to kind of let them know. And if you decide that you want to break those rules, I'll have you removed immediately.
Yeah, and you'll just have the house blessed or whatever you have to do. So do you feel like they've basically respected your request or your rules as far as things go?
Yeah, they did up until I went to an investigation in Guerneville. We go to a lot of places, and it's common once in a while you'll hear about an investigator bringing something home with them.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a really, really a serious possibility because I've never, this is going to sound so stupid, I've never had a fear of spirits in my life because I've kind of, done this my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had, experiences with seeing them, with talking to them, recording EVPs and this and that. And so I've never had a fear because I understand them.
Right.
And I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's just one of those things that I've never gone to a dark place and thought, oh, God, I'm terrified,
Yeah.
The one in Guerneville, I walked upstairs, and there was an old brothel above the bar. And I'm standing in this long, long, dark hallway, and the door opens at the very end by itself. So I start snapping off shots, one after another, And with every single shot I was taking, I felt something just rushing up on me. And right there, I had some kind of fear instilled in me, and I've taken it with me home.
Okay.
And I felt like there was something very dark there, and I think it came home with me.
All right, this is like a perfect spot for us to stop. Nice cliffhanger. And when we come back, you had an investigation at your home where it maybe is caused a little bit by this, or maybe not, or whatever your opinion is on that. But when we come back, I'd like you to finish that and then get us into that investigation that you had with HPI, because that is just incredibly interesting and scary. So everybody stay tuned for The Dirt, and we'll be right back with Trey.
You are tuned to The Dirt.
Leave the mainstream media on the shelf and pick up a free printed copy of the News Journal Aggregate to discover news the way it should be reported on the important topics facing our country. Go online to newsjournalaggregate.com and subscribe to our monthly e-journal for a wealth of information on a variety of topics. Stay informed and spread the news. Go to newsjournalaggregate.com. Read it today.
Are you ready to buy or sell your home, lands, or investment property? Call Lori Schultz with American Home Realty at 916-960-9600. Short sales, investments, first-time home buyers, please give me a call. Lori Schultz, 916-960-9600.
You're listening to the station that's been owned and operated by your friends and neighbors for over 72 years.
Big 14. 5 in a row. Come on, baby. Let's boogie.
Number one then, and number one in local talk now.
You're listening to The Good Life with me, Mike the Wine Guy. This is Paul Preston, and you're listening to Inside Education.
Hey, this is Live with Lou, broadcasting high atop Mount Hood.
KMYC, 1410 AM, Marysville, Yuba City.
And now Grocery Outlet presents Lowest Prices and the Low Price Lowdown.
Hi, it's me, Lowest Prices, the official Grocery Outlet Low Price and Happiness Ambassador. Today, a lesson in grocery store economics, or grocerynomics. Most grocery stores enact a strategy known as high-low pricing. They price most items high for profit, but then lower a few items for a brief sale to entice you into the store. But before you know it, kablamo! Their prices are high again. This is what is also known as hootenanny shenanigans. But at Grocery Outlet, we enact a strategy of lower pricing. See, everything at Grocery Outlet is always priced low, up to half off what you'll find at those regular grocery stores. But occasionally, we price things lower. Therefore, you always save. Class dismissed.
Grocery Outlet Bargain Market.
Grocery Outlet Bargain Market. Each family run and independently operated. Go to groceryoutlet.com or call 888-BARGAIN for the store nearest you.
Everybody, you're listening to The Dirt, and I'm really excited to have Trey Lindstrom on the air with us. And she's actually from HPI, but she's also living in a very haunted house, a lot of paranormal activity. And she was just telling us about how she encountered what she feels to be maybe a dark entity that may have followed her home and maybe increased some of the activity in your home. Trey, would you say that's about accurate?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I actually am trying on my phone. That's why I was distracted. I'm trying to find your text where you have that that you just sent to me earlier today with the voice on it, the EVP.
Oh, did you get the 3 that I sent to you?
Yeah, they're on my email. So during the next break, when we go to the next commercial, I'm actually going to bring them up on my email for Chris. So hopefully we can play them on the air like that. But this one, did you send that one also to my email or only to my phone?
The screen just to your phone and all 3 together in an email.
Okay, yeah, I've got those. And so the next break, we're going to go ahead and let everybody listen to that. So when you you felt like it followed you home and you just had that bad feeling, and do you usually do some sort of cleansing? I'm pretty sure HPI does, right? When you guys leave a place, and it just didn't work for you, right?
For this specific place, we didn't do a cleansing.
Oh, okay. Oh. I wonder.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe was the reason, or do you think it would have just happened anyway?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because if we do a cleansing, something could have followed me. It would basically cleanse them from that building.
Yeah, okay.
We had to get out. There was a misunderstanding between the property owner. They invited us to come out, and typically, it's anywhere 4 to 6 hours, sometimes a little bit longer. And normally we usually wrap up around about, say, 2 a.m., and around 11 o'clock, she was like, okay, are you guys done? And we were kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody wrap up quickly. So we had to leave by 12, and we didn't get a chance to do a lot of things we wanted to.
Wow. Well, it sounds like, the ghost wasn't done either. He's like, no, wait.
Apparently not.
Wait, I want to
Exactly.
communicate a little more. I'm coming home with you. So, so how did it increase in your home? Like, what would you say besides the feeling that you had, while you were taking pictures and everything? When you got home, what were some of the things that maybe caused you to feel like, hey, there's something different than just my normal activity that's going on here?
The door handles would rattle upstairs in the loft in one of our closets.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed to get a lot more frequent, things like that. I've seen a lot of shadow activity out in our woods, but I've kind of seen that before too. So that it, how just a feeling of overall everything is just darker.
Yes.
It's hard to explain, but I've never had that fear in me before. And for about a week straight, I had that fear. Like everything just felt stronger and things would slam louder. And I know that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but it's
No, it is. I've experienced that sense of something almost closing in, like you were describing actually about your living room. It's like that sort of feeling where things do feel darker. It is, I get what you're saying. It is a feeling, and it's very heavy.
Right. And I also had the feeling once Sherry and Larry came out to my home, for a few days after that, things were still, they just had that bad feeling to them. And I don't know if it's because they knew that the investigation was about to happen,
Mm-hmm.
if, they were angered by that, because that's kind of the feeling that I kept getting, was that they were just really, really angry that people were about to come out, on their property. And during the time that everyone was here, we kept getting, get out, go home, and just, a lot. Oh my goodness, we must have collected, probably 60 to 75 EVPs just within 3 investigators so far.
I can't
and
believe
we had
that.
15, 20 people. No, we had 22 people out that night.
Okay, tell us from the start what happened. Like, did the kids go somewhere else and your husband, and then you just had the house to yourself with the investigators, and you had 23 people out there? And just kind of tell us the setup, what you guys did, your plan of attack.
Sure. What we did was, it was actually Craig, my husband's 40th birthday.
Aww.
So I made it kind of a housewarming 40th birthday party / investigation.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun night. It ended up just wait. You'll see it. Oh, God.
That's hilarious to give him something he absolutely loves, which is the paranormal
I'm sure that,
for his birthday.
It's a great birthday for the skeptic.
I know, he wasn't thrilled at first, but he ended up having such a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Luckily, he went to bed before all hell broke loose, though, so it was kind of a good thing.
Oh, my goodness.
It was so much fun, though, before that. So what we had decided to do was we wanted to have the party. We had that from 7 until 9, and then everyone knew the investigation was supposed to begin at 9. And, of course, it always starts a little bit later because we have our briefings and things.
Right.
Everyone, just from the get-go, everyone started getting one EVP after another, and people were seeing shadow figures out in the woods. It just it took off right from the get-go.
Wow. The shadow figures in
I'm
the
sorry.
woods are kind of scary. I don't get those.
It is really, really scary, and I was never afraid of it before, but I have been ever since. And even up until last night, I just have the creepiest feeling about those woods. I don't like them anymore at all.
Yeah.
But yes, the kids were gone. Grandma took them to a hotel.
Okay.
So we basically had the whole house to ourselves, which was nice, and the kids had a great time at a luxury hotel.
And so did you guys divide up into groups and things like that, like the usual? Kind of the...
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We had 3 different groups, and then over the course of the night, we all just kind of merged into one large group. And we did a very, very loosely based seance. I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. Paul, that's one of the EVPs that I sent you. It was right as we were having that loosely based seance, and we were asking the dark entity to show itself, make itself known, prove that it's here, and, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when Paul got that scream EVP. It
is so scary.
Gives everyone goosebumps to listen to it.
I didn't like it at all, and I only heard it over the phone, and I was all, It was really scary.
I know. Can you imagine having that next to you and not knowing?
No.
Yeah, it's a bit unnerving, and I've heard tons and tons of EVPs, and that one still gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, it gave me goosebumps, and I'm not even there.
It did to Chris, too.
Yeah, it was really spooky.
Yeah, I played it off just the speaker on my little $20 cell phone.
I know.
And I just got... You don't need a good speaker for this one.
No, you really don't. I've got it right here, so we'll play it. So I'll bring up her text and stuff in just a minute, but oh my goodness, that thing sounds so scary. So would you say that was like the scariest EVP that you guys got?
That was, yeah, for that. Oh, well, no, actually, let me rephrase that. That one was pretty scary, but what happened later on in the evening was just flat out terrifying.
Okay, so tell us.
Okay, you ready for this one?
I'm ready. The dirt is ready, and so are the dirt heads. Let's hear it.
Okay. What had happened was while we were having the seance, we collected a lot more EVPs, and we got to the point where we started provoking a little bit. Come on, if you're so tough, this kind of thing. Come on out, show yourself, prove to us that you are here. About maybe 30 seconds goes by, and we had a group of investigators out in the woods because our psychic Donna had said that there was something going on out in the woods, and she believed that at one time that people had been buried out there.
Wow.
And she also said that this one particular tree, we've got tons of trees out there on our property, but she said this one specific tree that she believes that someone had been hung on that tree before, like maybe years and years and years ago, but she thinks that did occur at one point. And so when she would get out to the edge of the woods, she's just like, that's it. I can't go past this line. She just felt sick all over. And nobody really thought a whole lot about it, just kind of, wow, that's creepy, And a lot of people were like, well, I wonder what's going on. Why would she feel that way? And so we had a group of, I want to say about maybe 6 or 8 investigators. They were out doing that while we were in the living room having the seance. So we were calling for the spirit, show yourself, prove it, prove it, prove it. And Kara, she's an investigator for HPI, she comes running up the deck, and she comes in the door saying, there's some man outside, he's screaming for help. Y'all need to come out here and help us right now. Bring your flashlights, this and that. We're like, what? There's a man screaming for help. Our property, it dead ends at a little creek at the end of it. Okay. So if somebody's standing at one end and we're standing at the other end, you would definitely be able to see somebody out there.
Right.
And we were out there, and we could hear this man screaming bloody murder. I mean, it was really, really loud. And it wasn't just help, help, help me, help me.
That's scary.
Everybody picked it up on their recorders. And if anybody wants to hear it, it's at MaximMysteries.com.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, not .com, on YouTube. Everything that we've done is there. And the videos, you can see everything that happened that night. It's just absolute chaos. It got to the point it was so bad we couldn't find this man. We were looking everywhere. And he's just screaming, but he wasn't saying, I'm over here, because a lot of people were saying, where are you? And he wouldn't say anything except, help me, over and over. And so we called the sheriff's department. The sheriff doesn't live far from my home, so he came up, and he was at one end of the property, and our investigator, Larry Beatty, met him at the other end of the woods. And we're at my end, and they're at the opposite end. Imagine like a football field with scattered trees. Not so many trees that you can't see, but just a few scattered trees. So we're hearing this man just screaming bloody murder. The sheriff is at the other end with Larry. They turn the radio off. They turn the engines off in their vehicles. They turn everything off. Pitch dark, dead silent. At the same time that they're down there, we're hearing all of these screams for help. They hear absolutely nothing.
Okay, that is so weird.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And the weirdest part, too, is that we kept hearing the screams from a distance, and then all of a sudden the screams were right on top of us.
Oh, man.
And there was no crunching of the grass. No, the hay wasn't pushed over. There was no movement out there. Excuse me. And all of a sudden, Paul, the owner of HPI, he was standing by that hanging tree. And, excuse me, Patrick Newton was also there. And Patrick was on the phone with his partner, John, at the same time. And John was giving him information or things, feelings that he was having. John's an outstanding psychic. Hi, John, if you're listening.
I've met him. He is incredible. Incredible.
Isn't he amazing?
He's been on the show, hasn't he?
No, he wasn't on the show, but he was on that investigation in Volcanoville with my sister's
he's
son.
incredible.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he is. He's really good.
Talent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the thing that just blows my mind is I've always firmly believed, and I know some people may get angry with me for saying this, but I believe that if people have a true gift, that they usually don't charge a fortune to people when they're at their most vulnerable state.
Right.
And John never charges anybody a dime. Never.
I know.
I can understand, charging maybe a little bit for your time and your effort and everything, but, I've heard some stories that are just heartbreaking. And John does this literally out of the goodness of his heart. He's just the kindest person. Both he and Patrick are just two of the nicest people I've ever met, and I feel so honored to have met them. And I'm actually currently now working with them on what's going on with my home.
That's really
they're
nice.
very, very helpful.
Well, is Patrick as sensitive too, or just John?
Patrick, he's currently, from what I understand, he's an investigator. I don't know. He's kind of developing his gifts, like in the very beginning stage. He's not exactly clear on if he's maybe an intuitive or if he may have some special gift. But he has an inkling that he may have some type of gift, but he's just not sure.
Okay.
But what happened with Patrick was he was standing right by Paul, and at the same time we're hearing this man screaming, "Help! Help! Help!" Paul sees a man's head stick out from the side of that hanging tree. And about maybe within 30 seconds later, Patrick sees nothing but a man's torso go flying out from behind that tree, running across the field.
Okay.
And nothing was pushed down.
That's really scary. And where was his head?
I don't know. That's what I don't know. I wish I could tell you, honey, but I really don't know.
Oh, that's really scary. And you know what? I'm listening to this, and 4 acres, yes, that's large, but if there's a guy running around, screaming around, and there's a group of 20-some people and a sheriff, you're going to catch him.
You'll find him.
You're going to catch him. You're going to see him running. You're going to narrow it down. Everybody's going to be able to close in on him. I mean, that's freaky. Okay, so then what?
I was just thinking what you were saying about that, with the sheriff being at one end, and he had the spotlight going, too.
Yeah,
everyone
no
had
one's going to
flashlights.
hide.
The spotlight, it was fully lit up, and no one was out there because my first thought was a prankster. Maybe somebody had found out about the investigation and they were messing with us. There's no way anyone could get past. There's all of the fence lines, the property lines, and there's so many dogs out there that, they protect their sheep, and, those dogs, you don't mess with those dogs, is what I'm trying to say.
And
they
besides
couldn't make it off our property.
People, you would see the person. If they're screaming, you can narrow in a sound. I mean, we do have ears. You know what I mean? If somebody's screaming and they see somebody behind a tree, you guys realistically would have been able to locate this person. They wouldn't have. What person would be brave enough to be in basically a mob situation where there's all these people out there shining, calling the cops and everything, and they keep screaming? It's not going to happen. No
right,
way.
and as a matter of fact, I wanted to mention, too, that Paul was telling whatever was out there, "We called the sheriff. They're coming to help you." I heard him on the recording saying that several times. So whomever, if it was a joker, they would never continue to keep screaming that, especially with the sheriff right there.
No, they
It
wouldn't.
just blew my mind, and they did it for a long time.
Wow, that's really
They're all
frightening.
out there looking, and he's screaming and screaming. There was nobody out there, but we asked for him to prove that he was here.
And then, so what happened?
Well, that's what I'm saying. While we were having
because of
that
the
seance,
screaming?
he said,
Okay.
prove to us, without a doubt, that you are here. And then that all just, everything broke loose. It was
Okay, so
insane.
now the screaming part, now the sheriff could never hear it, but did the sheriff ever hear the recordings that were going on while you guys were yelling around? Like, did anybody ever have him listen to it, or did he just go? He just left?
He just left. Once he found out that there wasn't anyone out there, he said, I'm sorry, there's nobody out here. And we're like, then who is screaming? And it sounded like they were right in front of us. And I understand how, Chris, especially, you understand how sound travels.
Right.
So uphill. There was no way there's just no way. He would have been right in the middle of both of us.
So could the sheriff hear the guy screaming, or did it stop before the sheriff got there?
It was continuing while the sheriff was there, and he heard nothing. That's what I was trying to explain. Imagine we're at one end of a football field. The sheriff and Larry are at the other end of a football field.
That's a tough
Somebody
spot for the
in the middle is screaming like crazy. We hear it. They don't.
You're the sheriff, and there's someone out there screaming, and you leave. I mean, there's nothing
I know,
you can do.
I
That's
know,
gotta
that's
be.
kinda
I mean,
I know. That would be kind of weird.
But what do you do?
For him, if he's like, I don't know how I can help here.
Yeah.
But you'd almost wonder why he wouldn't keep investigating. Let's just say there had been somebody out there desperately needing help. Well, I can't hear it. So.
Kind of heartbreaking, but, what are you going to do? Yeah, I know. Believe me, it's gone through my mind several times, and I thought, well, if I ever did want to murder some, no, I'm just kidding. But it's
She's
sad
all
that people don't look into things.
Well, so now these screams, do you think that they sound like more powerful or different sounding than everybody else's voices in the recording? Like, could you tell the difference, or did it just sound like it very well could have been just another person?
It almost sounded inhuman from the recordings that I've heard. Wow. It's hard to explain because we could hear a man screaming. And another one of our investigators, I didn't hear this and I didn't pick it up on any of the recordings, but she said that she had heard maniacal-type laughter around the same area. So that's why I was saying my first instinct was there's a prankster out there.
Right.
But there's just no possible way.
Yeah. Or the prankster was a dark entity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
What I think is that we should go to a commercial and bring up those recordings. So stay tuned, Trey, and we'll be right back. And everybody listening to The Dirt, stay tuned, and we're going to listen to some of the recordings that they got that night. So we'll check it out. So everybody stay tuned for The Dirt.
You are tuned to The Dirt.
Are you looking for a place with a friendly atmosphere where you can relax, enjoy a great pub-style meal, a delicious handmade burger, or perhaps authentic Mexican street tacos or delicious fish tacos, all at an affordable price? A place where you can go sing karaoke or listen to a great live band or perhaps dance to top DJ music? Look no further. Jillian's Bar and Grill, located in the heart of historic downtown Lincoln, holds the key to all your food and entertainment desires. Jillian's Bar and Grill is proud to offer a full menu of great pub-style food and a full bar. They have entertainment 5 nights per week, Wednesday through Sunday. Come visit Jillian's today at 605 G Street on the corner of 6th and G Street in Lincoln, or find us on Facebook by searching Jillian's Bar and Grill. That's DILLIANS, Jillian's Bar and Grill. Call 916-434-8171 for the entertainment calendar. That's Jillian's Bar and Grill.
Hey, are you looking for a place to hang out or watch a big game? Come on down to Bar 101 in Old Town Roseville on the corner of Main and Lincoln Street. We have 21 beers and a full bar serving great specialty cocktails. Try our wide selection of American fusion cuisine, served every day for lunch and dinner. With 7 HD TVs, fresh food, and a friendly atmosphere, Bar 101 is the place to be. Visit our website at Bar 101 Roseville or like us on Facebook by searching Bar 101 Roseville.
You're listening to the station that's been owned and operated by your friends and neighbors for over 72 years.
The Big 14. 5 in a row. Come on, baby, let's boogie.
Number 1 then, and number 1 in local talk now.
You're listening to The Good Life with me, Mike the Wine Guy. This is Paul Preston, and you're listening to Inside Education.
Hey, this is Live with Lou, broadcasting high atop Mount Hood.
KMYC, 1410 AM, Marysville, Yuba City.
$5 subs are back at Quiznos. Any sub, any size, for just $5. Every Monday after 2 p.m. through closing. More meat, more flavor, more Quiznos. Toasted.
Come check out these deals exclusively at the Lincoln, Roseville, and Folsom locations. And don't forget to mention KMYC 1410 AM.
Quiznos, the official sponsor of The Dirt.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to The Dirt, and we are back. And we were talking with Trey Lindstrom from HPI and her very haunted house and the crazy investigation that they had with tons of EVPs and, I don't know, so much activity. It's really scary. And we've got some EVPs that we actually want to play now. So, Trey, I'm sure you're here with us still, but we're going to go ahead and just play these EVPs, one from my phone, so it might not sound that clear, but we've got the email, I believe, up on your other ones that you sent to us.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool. So here you go, everybody listening. This is from Trey's house.
So that's the one from the email.
That's the email one?
Right.
Okay, so let's play the phone one.
It's I can't get it to play here.
Why?
I don't know. I think this cord is broken.
Well, can you just play it and then just put it up to the microphone and just see? I mean, remember, it's pretty loud.
Sure.
Okay, let's try that.
No, it's not really working.
Not really.
All right.
I also have that same one in the email, if that helps.
Okay, so it is in the email? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we'll try that.
I've only got one here. It's just a short DD EVP in this email that you sent me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So only one was included in that?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Shoot.
Well, if
Did you get the one where I sent 3 altogether?
Okay, if you want to give me my phone back.
Sure.
If you want to run it over here.
Hold on.
Okay, and then I'm going to forward him the other one. I thought I sent the right one over. But anyway, so by the end of the night, your husband's sleeping. It's his birthday. And you've got all this evidence. So how did the night end? Like, what time and what did you guys decide to do about all this?
Oh, gosh, we were so exhausted, but at the same time, our adrenaline was just pumping from all of the excitement and the shaken nerves. And I think it really shook up a lot of people. And people are just saying, I will never forget your investigation ever. That's just the most insane one that we've ever been on. And keep in mind, though, this is a humongous group. They've done, just Paul by himself, he's done well over 700 investigations. And we go on at least one every weekend, if not 2, sometimes 3 on holiday weekends. So it's, something that is almost flattering to be told that we will never forget yours.
Oh, it is flattering, but it's also like, whoa, that's kind of scary. You know what I mean? Oh, my goodness. So how do you feel now? Like, do you feel... I mean, a lot of times people have this and they're just like, wow, this makes me feel better. I know it's not just me. You're like, are you going to just let everything stay? Or what about this guy screaming in the woods? What are you guys going to do about that?
That's another story all by itself. It shocked the heck out of me. Patrick, that I mentioned earlier, Patrick Newton and John Rubsum were speaking on the phone, and John was giving him information. So Patrick gets home about 6 o'clock in the morning, and he wakes John up, and he says, listen to the screams. John is still just kind of barely waking up, and I guess something must have popped into his head, but he saw these names, and he said, okay, Patrick, I want you to go and look this information up. So Patrick did. He took the names that John had just given him from just being awakened out of a dead sleep. He gets on the computer, and he writes me, Trey, you will not believe what we found. And he didn't tell me what it was, so I had to wait. About maybe 2 or 3 hours later, they post this big story about this guy. I hope I didn't screw up his last name. I believe it's Juan Corona. It's Juan something.
No,
Have you ever heard of him?
Yes, the whole town of Marysville knows about this dude.
I didn't.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. No, he's a major. Yes. So that's who he came up with?
Based on his names, it came
Chris,
back
I
to
sent
my
that to
house
you.
from my area.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot believe that. That's the name that came to his head. Yeah, he was really a really. I hope nobody's listening that's related and likes him, but I mean, he was a bad guy.
Yeah, really bad guy.
Yes.
He had raped and murdered something like at least 35 immigrant farm workers. He would hire them on, give them jobs, and then, from what I understand, his brother was gay, and he was really, really, really upset by that. And so he would go down to these bars when Marysville was kind of a, I don't know, a scarier type area. He'd go into the scary parts of Marysville, and he would meet gay men, and he would offer them jobs, and then basically he would rape and murder them. And he did at least 35 of these murders over only a 6-week period.
That's really scary.
Oh, yeah. To this day, they're still trying to find bodies, and there's so many more that are missing. And I just feel so sorry for their families to, we're going to the United States to have a better life, and they just never hear from them again.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. And John is so good. I can't even tell you. But we've got the EVPs now. I emailed them the other one, so I'm going to go ahead and Chris is going to go ahead and play that.
Which one first? The Scream?
Scream.
I think everyone wants the Scream, right?
Yeah, we want the Scream.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
First off, I'm going to ask you, are you here? Well, that was quick. And that's a yes.
Did everybody hear that? It's right at the end. Do it one more time. It's like, did everybody hear that? It's a yes. And then bam. It's like in this weird voice. Nobody's going to make that voice.
No, it was dead silent.
That's a yes.
Yeah. But when you hear it like in person, like we have it on our phone, and that's not even in person. I can't even imagine.
It's so much louder over my phone.
It is to me too.
Yeah.
It's being shy. It doesn't like being broadcasted. Yeah, see, that was better.
Yeah.
That was way better. Okay, I am creeped out right about now. Okay, so let's hear the other ones.
Okay. That was the laughing ha ha ha. It's kind of hard to hear that one.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah, EVPs are tough on AM radio. They really
okay,
are.
Let's
but
try
this,
another.
so that we got the Scream. We got hear that?
Yeah, you can hear that one.
That's a good one.
Okay, so you
It
guys.
sounds like a little old lady just.
Yeah, it sounds like a tiger going off in the background there.
Let's hear it one more time. Yeah.
I can assure you no one here sounds like that.
Do you think that's the lady with the apron? I just don't think so.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, she's really trying to get her point across. It almost sounds like Donald Duck to me, though.
And you know, the weird thing is like, you guys had two different forms of hearing voices. One through the recorders, through the EVPs, just where you're not hearing it with your naked ear. And then you've got this, where it was totally messing with you, screaming around. You guys are seeing full body apparitions. I'm sure you've had orbs galore. We always get orbs, But I wanted to thank you very much because we're coming to the end of the show. And first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Trey, for sharing your experiences in your home, how you got into investigating and everything going on. And of course, I want to wish you the best with your home and everything. And I'm going to be keeping up with you. We're friends now. I've got to keep up with all this.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And if anybody wants to get a hold of HPI, do you have any information you want to give out or anything like that?
Oh, sure. They're welcome to, if you'd like to watch videos or find out what we do, you can go to Maxim Mysteries, that's MAXAM, on YouTube and watch all of our videos and how we do things. Or you can also contact Paul Dale Roberts on Facebook.
And we love Paul Dale Roberts. He's the man.
Me too. He is so the man. Like grandfather of the paranormal. He is the man.
He is. And he led me to you. So thank you so much for being on the show. And I want to also thank Sherry McCormick and Mike and also Ramon from Seekers Paranormal Society and Chris Singleton. Thank you very much for being here.
I love it.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, you guys.
Chris and Lori.
Thank you, too. You guys have a great night and stay tuned for The Dirt next week.
You too. Thank you.
is a Fox News alert. I'm Steve Knight. Breaking news from the courthouse in Sanford, Florida. Word just in that the jury in the George Zimmerman murder trial has reached a verdict. This comes after 10 hours of deliberation today, 3.5 hours yesterday. Live now to Fox News Radio's Eben Brown at the courthouse.
Well, Steve, the jury verdict just being read now by Judge Deborah Nelson, finding George Zimmerman not guilty of murder or manslaughter, for that matter. It looks like George Zimmerman has been acquitted of the charges against him. He was charged with the killing of Trayvon Martin, an unarmed teenager who he encountered while on his rounds as a neighborhood watchman. He shot him, he said, as